What's up guys, it's Garrett here. Here's a question I've been getting from a lot of people, which is how to buy your first rental property. What do you look for? How much do you need? What is a good investment? And how hard can you smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm? Now, this video is meant to be a step-by-step guide to achieving your first rental property through what's called the FHA process, which I'm going to break down in this video. And it's my goal that you can have the confidence to not only become a first-time homeowner, but also to become a first-time real estate investor. So let's get right into it. Before I get into this, I want to explain a little bit about FHA versus a conventional loan. Now, FHA, the reason why I think it's very appealing, especially for people that are young into their careers, is because all you need is 3.5% down versus the conventional, which is 20% down. That means that you can save up money quicker. All right, so FHA stands for Federal Housing Administration. And apart from the 3.5% down payment, what you should also know is that you actually have to live in the property. So say you wanted to get a duplex, so you would live in one of the apartment and you would rent out the other apartment. This can be done for a 3-unit or a triplex, 4-unit or a 4-plex. Anything higher than that, it wouldn't work for the FHA. You would also have to live in the property for over a year. And in order for you to get out of what's called PMI or property mortgage insurance, which is an insurance that is taxed on to your overall expenses each and every month until you hit 20% of the equity value. That is when you can actually not have to pay the PMI or property mortgage insurance anymore. It's just an idea that I had that a lot of investors out there do is they actually live in the property, they get to their 20% and that 1 year plus mark, and once they hit that 20%, they refinance it, they pull out equity and they put it into their next property that they own or occupy. So they actually move into another property, and then now they have 2 units, going back to the duplex example, renting out, bringing them cash flow, while they're also owner occupying, subsidizing their costs and potentially getting cash flow from that property. The key here is that you can only have one FHA at a time. So I know I mentioned cash flow. Cash flow is essentially all the rental income that you have. So let's say the rental income on a triplex is $3,000 and your mortgage is $1,000. And let's say the expenses are another $1,000. So your expenses overall are $2,000 and they're paying you $3,000. What you can ultimately have is $1,000 of profit. That is what cash flow is. Now that you know a little bit about FHA, the key here is to get into what's called the preparation phase. And the preparation phase is essentially a checklist of items that you need to do before taking a look at a single property. This is going to save you so much time and energy in the process and just make everything work so much more smoothly. So the first thing that you want to do in the preparation phase is you need to talk to a lender and get a pre-qualified letter. This will allow you to know how much home you can afford. Shrink down your search criteria to only focus on things that are within your budget. Think on the flip side, if you don't do this first and you check out a $350,000 property that you absolutely love, that you can see a future of like maybe raising a family or whatever the case may be, and the lender comes back after talking to them after you see a property and they say, you know, listen, you can only afford $300,000. That would be unbelievably crushing. So let me save you the pain and talk to a lender first, get a pre-qualified letter. And when you do this, make sure that you take a soft pull, not a hard pull. If they do a hard pull, do not do it because it's going to significantly decrease your credit score and it's going to impact it in a negative way, which is going to bind you and not give you as many lending options in the future, because if later down the road they want to do another hard pull on your credit score, it's going to bring it down even lower, which is going to not be good for you, because the better credit score that you have, the better rates, the better deal that you get on the property. Everybody wants to give to somebody like you who has good credit, and if you don't have good credit, you want to get into the 700 point range. Anywhere between 700 and 760 is ideal, which is going to give you the best rates out there. Now the rates are already low, but you got to just focus on controlling the controllables. If you don't know how to increase your credit score, I've got a video right here that will give you some practical tips to be able to increase your credit score. So go through my videos, take a look at that. It should be able to help you out. So once you get a pre-qualified letter, you have your credit score in the 700 to 760 range or higher, then you're in really good position. what you want to do is you want to take the pre-qualified letter and say your max, just for easy numbers, is $100,000 that you can afford. Then you have to take a look and say, how much do I need to save in order for me to get this new property? Well, the down payment, as we know, is 3.5%. So 3.5% of $100,000 on an FHA loan is $3,500. You also want to factor in the closing costs. Closing costs are typically 1% to 2%. So let's say 2% of $100,000 for closing costs is now $2,000. Right off the bat, it's $5,500 that you need to save. Now, to be even more secure in this investment and to make sure that you mitigate risks, you want to save up 3 to 6 months of reserves. That's your living expenses. So say your living expenses is $2,000 each and every month. That is all of your bills, all of your loans, etc. Then you need to save up $6,000 to $12,000. So let's say $6,000, and ultimately you're taking $5,500 plus the $6,000, and it's $11,500 that you need to have saved. So now you know the number for the very high range that you can afford. Then what you have to do is you need to come up with a plan. The only way you can plan is to come up with a budget. All right, at this point you have completed the preparation phase. Now it's time to go into the fun part, which is the property search phase, which is by far the best phase to be a part of. It's a really exciting process, and especially when it's your first one. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to find a very good real estate agent. What I did to find my real estate agent was I asked for recommendations from my friends and family that actually have a multifamily property that went through the FHA process to do it. Pretty much find people that have done exactly what you want to do and get their recommendations on a real estate agent. Once you have like 3 or 4 real estate agents that were recommended to you, you want to put them through an interview process and really get to know them and see if they're the type of people that you would want to work with. Once you select a real estate agent, you want to start to determine your property buying criteria. Step number 2 is to find the right property. Like, what is the criteria that you're looking for in a property? And remember, you're going to be living in this property too. So what are you seeking to find in a place that you're going to be living in? Do you want hardwood floors? Do you want high ceilings? Do you want natural light? Do you want a large kitchen? Do you want a backyard? Whatever the case may be, write it down. Okay, and then you want to look at the property as a whole. Is it in a good location? What's the square footage? How old is the property? Are people moving into the area? Are there parks and places to go nearby? Are there signs of discretionary income spend nearby, like a Starbucks or shopping center? Whatever the case may be, write it down. Okay, we'll go into more depth in a future video, but I think this will kind of get the wheels turning for you a little bit. Step number 3, you want to meet with your real estate agent and have a conversation of what you're looking for within a property. This is going to save a ton of time. Once you have that list that you've developed in step 2, you want to actually just give them that and just kind of talk through that list just so that they know and they can be out there searching for the best property for you. Agents get access to what's called the MLS, or the multiple listing service. And what that is public information that agents can have access to that allows any listing that it's put on the market that fits that criteria that you're looking for, they're actually send it directly out to you so that you can determine if you want to do a showing on that property to see if that property could be a good fit for you. This is almost like the dating phase where you're actually saying, okay, these are the qualities that I want, and you're actually going out on dates and seeing the property and seeing what you like, if it fits your criteria, etc. So this is a really exciting process. You know, really kick the tires, because you're going to find that you're going to be adding and taking things out of your initial criteria list, and it's only going to help the search process so that you can find the best property for you. Okay, so at this point, the search process is in motion. You've got your real estate agent. They're going to be sending you emails of recent listings that kind of fit within that criteria that you're looking for. A good real estate agent will also pull up things that that maybe are longer on the MLS that haven't been sold yet but still fit your criteria. But you don't want to stop there and start the search process for yourself. Good websites to go to would be like Redfin, Zillow, LoopNet. There's a ton of different sites out there. Definitely search. I'll put a few of them in the details below. But you want to put your criteria in those different websites so that you can start doing the search, because there might be a property that was on the MLS or being listed for sale for a while now, and you might be only getting properties that were just released on the MLS within like a day or 2 days ago. So what you really want to focus on is other properties, because maybe some older properties could potentially be really good buys for you, but maybe were overlooked. All right, so now you're getting a bunch of emails from recent listings on the MLS from your real estate agent, and you're also getting some information from Redfin and those other sites. So at this point, what you need to do is you need to get in a cadence of checking your emails daily, especially if you're looking for properties in a very competitive market. They're gonna go very, very quickly. So early bird gets the worm, and definitely jump on the opportunity if it fits your criteria and schedule a showing. All right, so you schedule a showing, you get there on site, and it's freaking amazing. Like, it has everything that you want in a property and a potential place for you to live. Now it's time to do step number 4, which is run the numbers. Okay. So as far as running the numbers, numbers do not lie. It could check all the boxes, but it may not make financial sense for you. So this is why this is such an important step in this process. So the easiest way to do this is to break everything down into a monthly expense or monthly income. So the monthly income is very, very easy. So let's say you want a duplex. It's currently renting for $3,000 in total between 2 apartments. Apartment number 1 is $1,500. Apartment number 2 is another $1,500. However, you're going to be living in one of the apartments, so your income is only going to be $1,500. Now you got to figure out what the expenses, and this is where it gets a little bit tricky. What goes into the expenses would be your mortgage payment each month, taxes on a monthly basis, your PMI, your insurance, your utilities, potential vacancy, and things that you would have to repair, like a roof or the siding. So for the mortgage payment, take what the asking price is and subtract 3.5% of that. On a $100,000 property, you want to take the property cost, right? Multiply it by 0.035, which is 3.5%, which is $3,500. You want to subtract it from the $100,000, which means it's $96,500, which is what the mortgage is going to be after you make the down payment. Then you open up a amortization calculator, which can be found in the link below. You want to take that $96,500 and you want to put it as the mortgage price. Then as far as the rate goes, on the pre-qualified letter, you should have received like a good estimate of what the rate would be. So then you plug that in, and then you also typically want to do a 25 or 30 year amortization schedule. So then you put that in. So then it is going to spit out a number on a monthly scale of what your monthly payment is. So that's one factor. Then what you want to do is you want to figure out what the vacancy rate. Typically the vacancy rate, especially because you're going to be living in it's going to be very, very low. I would say 3.5% of the purchase price. So 3.5%, and then you divide that by 12, and that's what the vacancy rate would be on a monthly scale. So then you want to add that into it. Then you want to take a look at what your insurance costs, you add that up. Let's say everything adds up to $1,200. That means that your income is $1,500 and your expenses are $1,200. That means that you have $300 cash flow going into your pocket each and every month. Even if it's at $1,500, say the expenses are $1,500 and your income is $1,500, you break even. However, you have another tenant who's paying down your mortgage and you're living for free. Let's say that you're paying rent for an apartment currently and you're paying $1,000, right? So that means that you're saving $1,000 each and every month. And that also goes for, let's say that the income that you're getting is $1,500, and let's say the total expense is $2,000. That means $500 is coming out of your pocket, but you're still saving $500 and money coming in to pay off for your mortgage or pay down your debt, which is a really good situation. All right, so you ran the numbers and the numbers make sense and they hit your financial goal for what you're looking for in an investment property. Now what? Step number 5, making an offer. So how do you know what price to go in for your initial offer? It's really just a skill and art at the same time, but I have some suggestions that probably will work to allow you to not pay asking price and get a discount on the property. Key information that you want to find out, number 1, is you want to find out the motive of the seller. If the seller has a problem with the property, or maybe it's the tenant, or maybe it's not having the time to be able to manage that property, then you know that by you buying the property and them selling it to you, you're solving their problem. So they're more likely to sell it to you at a discount. Key information number 2, you want to focus on how long it's been on the market. Generally speaking, the longer it's been out on the market for, the more urgent the seller is to sell that property. You also want to find out what kind of offers they have been receiving and why they rejected those offers. Tip number 4 is write a personalized offer letter. And you don't want to get too personal on this. But the reason why it's important is because they start to develop emotional connection to you on the other side instead of just a number. So when you attach kind of the emotional story into the number, it's more likely to be accepted, and it also shows that you're willing to put in the work. So the last and probably the most important piece of key information that you need to know before making an offer is finding out the property's valuation. In order to evaluate the property, you need to take the perspective of strictly an investment property. In order to do that, you need to take the NOI, or the net operating income, and you need to divide it by the area's cap rate. Now, NOI can be defined as the yearly income minus the yearly expenses before the mortgage. So let's go back to our example before. So the monthly income from the property is $3,000, $1,500 on apartment 1, $1,500 on apartment 2. Let's say that the overall expenses are $3,000. $1,000 of that $3,000 is the mortgage. And remember, based on the calculation, we have to take that out. So the monthly expenses are $2,000. So then you take the $3,000 of monthly income, you take out the $2,000 of monthly expenses, and you get $1,000. Because it's based on a yearly model, you need to multiply that number, 1,000, by 12. Gets $12,000. Then that gives you your NOI. You divide that by the cap rate, let's say 6%. And we divide that by 0.06, and it gets you $200,000 as the fair market valuation of that property. So now you have all of this information to take in for your initial offer. And just know that the closer you get to that valuation, the better investment that property is going to be for you. All right, so you determine that the offer that you're going to make is $195,000. The asking price is $225,000. So now it comes to step number 6, which is negotiation. Now, when you make your initial offer, most likely you're going to get some sort of counter offer from the seller. They come back at $220,000. That means that they drop the price by $5,000. So what you want to do on your offer, you can either accept it at $220,000, or you can just come up and whatever they decrease the price by. So if they decreased it by $5,000, you come up to $5,000. And you add in what's called a $5,000 concession, because you came up $5,000, you want a $5,000 concession, which is going to help you pay for those closing costs minus the down payment. Then they'll probably come back, let's say they come back at, $215,000, which is $10,000 less. So then you come up with another $5,000, and now you're at $205,000, so $10,000 more than what your initial price was. But then you put in a $10,000 concession, and this exchange can go back and forth. Be fair. Closer you get to that $200,000 valuation, the better the property is going to be for you in the future. This is going to go back and forth until there's agreed upon price, and it's called the acceptance. So congratulations, your offer got accepted. And step number 7 is the acceptance process. Long story short, they're going to send you a bunch of documents. You're going to read thoroughly through them, and you're going to sign their agreement and send it back to your agent. Your agent is going to send it back to the selling agent and get it into the hands of the seller. All right, so at this point in the process, things are going to start to move much more quickly. Step number 8 is attorney approval. Essentially what this is you're going to meet with their attorney. They're going to go over the contract that you signed, make sure that you understand the contingencies that are built into this agreement. If you don't have an attorney, I would recommend finding a company that has a respectable firm, that the attorney specifically and specialize in real estate, that they have a fixed or a flat fee instead of hourly rate, and that's reasonable. And that, again, get recommendations from friends, family, etc. To find the right lawyer for you. And make sure that they have an in-house title company that's going to help the closing process move much more quickly. All right, so for doing a mortgage through the FHA process, you have a 14-day, what's called the due diligence window. And essentially what you have to do is you have to book, find your inspector, get the inspection done. And my recommendation is when the inspection is getting done, you want to be there on site so that you can actually walk through with them so you know where all the issues are. All right, so step number 9 is the inspection. You want to find a really, really good inspector. So I would start by getting, again, recommendations, but I would also back those recommendations up with the reviews that you find online. So there's a ton of different things that you can see. Angels List, you can see reviews on Google, you can see reviews on Yelp. Really pay attention to them and really pay attention to the negative reviews and see what kind of is said within those reviews, because listen, if your inspector misses some things when they go to search your property, one, you obviously would want to know about them. And two, if maybe 3 months you move in and some significant problems that the inspector should have caught, it's going to cost you a lot of money. So that's why it's so important during due diligence to make sure that you find a very good inspector who is very well experienced, has great reviews, and will be able to find those problem areas. Now, during the due diligence window is really what I call step number 10, or part 2 of negotiation. So essentially, your inspector is going to come back with a bunch of problems, most likely. Every single property, and don't be fearful of this, every single property is going to have some sort of issues wrong with the property. It's about taking those issues, making sure that they're all the issues that could potentially go wrong within a short, medium time of you being in that property. And you want to mount that to a certain dollar value. And this is where negotiation part 2 comes in, where you actually negotiate the price down. Maybe it's a concession. So let's say that the property has $5,000 of issues and you got the pricing at $210,000 with maybe like $10,000 or $15,000 concession. Well, and what at this point you have to go back to the seller and negotiate, well, it's cost $5,000 to do these repairs, so let's knock $5,000 off the price and come up, and this is where the negotiation part 2 comes in. Step number 11 is the appraisal process. So the lender is going to hire an appraiser to go on site to value the property. If everything checks out, you're good to go. And then it's time for funding. What you want to get over to your lender, and they'll tell you this up front, is you want 2 W-2s for the last 2 years, proof of the last 2 income statements that you're getting from your work, and you also want to send over your license and a few other documents. This makes sure that everything is bundled together for the lender to do a very easy financing process for you. All right, guys, this is an amazing moment in your life. I want you to soak this in. It's step number 12, which is you're at the closing table and you're going to sign off on the documents. They're going to hand over the keys, and this is your glorious moment of becoming a first-time homeowner and real estate investor. Congratulations. I hope you guys get there. Thank you for watching this video to the very end. It really means a lot. I put a lot of time into this video, and it's kind of a different format that I've been used to, so it took me a lot of time. I also want to thank you for supporting my channel, and if you haven't subscribed yet, definitely consider subscribing and liking this video. I hope that this can be a video, and I'm going to put timestamps below, where if you're missing some pieces of information and you're starting to go through this process, I want it to be a roadmap for you so that you can achieve your financial freedom, so you can achieve your first property and your first home. And really, it's going to make such a huge impact in your life, and I can't wait for you guys to get there. So thanks so much, and we'll see you on the next video.